Hey there YouTube, I'm Bubbins, and today is our first Elder Scrolls Online video. I'm going to try and help you figure out whether ESO Plus is worth it or not for you. I get this question a lot as someone who put 1,000 hours into the MMO, and I can tell you my answer is usually yes. However, that doesn't mean it's absolutely required for every single player, because unlike Final Fantasy XIV, a subscription isn't something that you have to pay for if you want to play. Instead, it's optional and comes with a number of benefits. In general, it'll run you $15 a month for a 30-day subscription, which decreases down to $12 a month, or $140 total, if you pay for a year up front. Not everyone has that kind of money though, and that's a lot to commit to. That's a whole lot of money a year. So let's take a look at what it actually offers. As you can see on the screen, there are a number of benefits to consider, but all of these points aren't equal. Rather than dealing with them all right now while they just sit on your screen, however, I'm going to highlight the 6 biggest things you should consider before buying. For example, and this is what we'll start with, if you're a crafter or gatherer, ESO Plus is essentially a must-have. You simply won't be able to live without it, especially once you've tried it. Inventory space is such a huge issue in any MMO, but it's especially true in one with a million different crafting materials. It's not even really a matter of saving gold, but having access to all the materials whenever you need them. Without the crafting bag, you'll need to fill a ton of your bank space with materials just to go grab them, take them out, craft something, and then put them back. And sure, you can sell some of the less valuable items and only purchase them when you need them, but ultimately it's a much more fulfilling experience with the crafting bag, and I wouldn't want to do these professions without it. My crafting bag is currently storing about 250 different materials. Not all of them are super valuable, but keep in mind that you only start off with 60 bank space. That's all my my entire bank space would be full of crafting materials if I didn't have a crafting bag. So if you're a crafter, you're gonna want ESO Plus. The value of the next benefit really depends on how new you are to the game. As a rule, ESO Plus automatically includes every single piece of DLC released, excluding the most recent yearly expansion. So as of right now, it doesn't include High Isle. When Necrom comes out, it'll include High Isle, but won't include Necrom. But you'd have access to everything else, including Blackwood, Greymoor, Elsewhere, Somerset, and Morrowind, alongside all of the smaller dungeon packs and zone updates. It's important to note a few things have changed over the last few years if you've been away, but if you purchase the Elder Scrolls Online Collection Necrom, which is the default expansion, for $60, it immediately unlocks all previous chapter expansions, which I just named. That does not, however, include things like the Thieves Guild, Dark Brotherhood, or Clockwork City content, each of which runs for 2,000 crowns, which is roughly $20 each. That stuff does add up quickly and would set you back at least 1,500 crowns, which is about $150. So short of buying all that, you can also just subscribe to start. However, if your main reason for subscribing is just to mitigate that cost, this next feature can help you out with that. As a perk of your membership, you're automatically given 1,650 crowns for each month you subscribe. If you pay for 12 months up front, you get all 19,800 crowns right away. So as I was saying, if you're only subscribing for access to the DLC, you can purchase them one by one with the crowns you're given each month, and eventually you'll own everything and be able to cancel your subscription. Meanwhile, you get to take advantage of all the other perks. If you're going to spend that money, you might as well be patient with it and take advantage of everything that ESO Plus offers while you do so. One interesting note here is that the subscription costs $15, and like I said, you get 1,650 crowns with it. If you were to spend that $15 buying crowns, you'd only get 1,500 crowns. So in short, with a subscription, you get $15 of crowns and more. So if you're someone who wants to buy stuff out of the crown store but are put off by prohibitively high prices, which Elder Scrolls has plenty of, you can save up as part of your subscription and not feel as guilty about buying that $100 house or dropping $30 to $50 on a banker or a merchant that you can summon anywhere for convenience. Or honestly, maybe you're just like me, who is okay with paying a subscription but doesn't want to buy $100 worth of crowns. Essentially, this way you can get around that. So as I mentioned before, bank space is incredibly limited. You only have 60 total slots when you first start, and that's enough for the bare essentials, but that's about it. Thankfully, you can upgrade it 10 slots at a time, up to a total of 240 bank slots. If you have a subscription, however, your bank space is doubled, which includes those upgrades, meaning you can get to a total of 480 bank slots. Importantly though, those bank slots scale. The cost of them scales with how much you've unlocked. They'll start at 1,000 gold, cheap, up to 20,000, not so cheap, then 50,000 and 85,000. It gets expensive fast. In total, it's about 750,000 gold, which is nothing to scoff at. Not that this makes it any cheaper, mind you, but it does feel a little better getting 20 slots per upgrade instead of 10. And it's also really helpful when you're far into the game and have lots of gear that you want to keep on hand for alternate builds. There's another feature, really the final feature here, that only really matters for housing fans. You see, every house in Elder Scrolls Online has a limit to the number of furnishings it can contain. For inns, that's just 15. Apartments, 50. Small homes jump up to 100, medium homes to 200, large to 300, and manors to 350. Now that's a lot of items, and probably enough for the smaller areas, but for giant homes which have multiple rooms, multiple exteriors, there's just a whole lot of space to cover. 350 items isn't actually that much, so doubling that to 700 certainly sounds a lot better. If you're really into housing, that might be something to consider when subscribing. Importantly, it also doubles the number of special items and collectibles, such as house guests, pets, servants, and the like, which is good because those numbers are much smaller. So doubling it from 2 to 4, well, it's not that impressive, but it does help a lot. Now for the rest of the list. I'll be honest, nothing else really matters. More crafting XP, great. More gold, cool. A little more combat XP, alright, that's nice. But by no means are they worth subscribing for. You'll also get slightly shorter research times for your crafters, but again, not a huge deal. Now I know people who are super into leveling are like, yeah, 10% more XP or however much it really is. But ultimately, that doesn't matter for the majority of players. The dyeing of customs is cool, I guess, but I rarely find myself doing so I don't really think you need to worry about that. That final point where you get an increase to your transmutation crystal cap, it's honestly laughable. You only need 50 to change the traits of a single item, and most players aren't transmuting things to begin with. I've played for 1,000 hours and I've barely done it at all. My point being, you're never going to hit that cap anyway, so it's not even really something to think about. So to summarize, you should buy ESO Plus if you're a crafter or a gatherer. You should buy it if you want more bank space. You should buy it if you are patient and don't want to spend extra money on the crown store. And you should consider getting it if you're really into housing. And for those who want access to most of the DLC right away, you can stay subscribed, and if you'd rather not continue to be subscribed, you can spend those crowns and buy the pieces of DLC that you need over time. And as a reminder, it's not worth buying just for the XP boosts and for faster research. They're good to have, but by no means are they worth the money. And I mean, the best news here is honestly, you can just try living without it and see how you feel. It's not required. Go play. When you run into the bumps and bruises along the way of like, oh, I'm out of space constantly, or oh, I have to sell all my stuff, or oh, I wish I could do this, or oh, I wish I had access to that, then you can subscribe and see how it is. And if you like it, you can keep subscribed. Honestly, it's great because you can just try playing without it, and if life sucks, upgrade. That's all I can really say. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to leave a like or subscribe. It's a small channel, I really do appreciate it. And if you want to directly support the channel, there's a Patreon linked in the description below. As of yesterday, it has officially been activated. On Mondays, I'm now posting the topics for my 2 videos of that week and sharing any thumbnails that I may not have used. And that's just for the $1 tier. There's also a $5 tier, which I have not taken to yet, which includes things like monthly blogs, thoughts on the channel and how things are doing, what my thoughts are, that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's completely optional for now. I think that's it. I'll see you next time.